Hi, good people. Welcome to my channel. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification bell if you're rocking with the content. I talk about a lot of topics that you could talk about around a dinner table or talk amongst your friends if they care, or maybe just sacredly for yourself. Who knows? But hopefully it reaches somebody, right? But today, I want to talk about the United States debt because what I learned is the United States Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, slid a note, a letter to the newly elected House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, and asked him to draft up a bill because the United States is about to run out of money. And she gave him something like June 2023 projections. Now, let's take a step back because in December 2022, under Nancy Pelosi's leadership of the House, that speaker asked for 1.7 trillion to raise the debt ceiling to fund the government from December 2022 to September 2023. But here's the kicker. They're kicking the can down the road literally because in September 2023, they're going to have to come back to the table and renegotiate another bill, draft another bill to fund the government again. This is when you have all the news, the media going crazy. Oh, a potential government shutdown, a government shutdown. What that in essence mean is the United States government cannot pay their bills. The United States Treasury, the government organization that runs and pays the United States bills. Keep a book of it. They ring the alarm and they say, we don't have the money to pay the bills. We are literally running out of money. So that December 2022 to September 2023? No, we're not going to last until September. We only have till June. So can you please get this together like ASAP because we're not going to make it to September. And can you imagine if the United States default? Okay, let's play with this for a second, right? Because the federal government has a budget. They have an annual fiscal budget, right? That's submitted probably by the president, submitted to Congress, right? And they'll have an annual budget, everything itemized, and what they can pay for, what programs they fund, and what they have to pay for, right? And that includes a lot of the United States pension, the government pension system. And let me tell you something about that because it's a great retirement coming with my parents, their generation, the baby boomers. We're millennials. We're still in the workforce. We're still in the labor force producing, right? We have retirement age is 65 average in the US. So we're just now hitting our 40 years old, right? We still got 39-year-olds ushering into 40. We got about 25 years left in the workforce, right? To produce, manufacture, keep an economy going. But our parents are retiring in a big wave, right? And so when you have the United States Treasury saying, we cannot pay the government bills, I don't even think people understand what that means. It's a bunch of programs that the federal government pay for. Those programs will be directly affected. Programs that people rely on in their households to feed themselves, to pay their bills, and to fund their retirements, all relying on the federal government to cut those checks. And if the government don't make good on payments to the states, the people they're not going to get that money. That's what that means. We have the great retirement with baby boomers. These people are going to retire in the millions, and they're going to be knocking on the door of Social Security. I paid into this system my whole working life. Government, can I have my check, please? For the rest of my life, please. And I would appreciate it if you keep cost of living down so I can maintain my fixed income, right? Well, that's all in jeopardy because Janet Yellen slid that letter to Congress and said, we're not going to be able to make the bills. We got till June 2023 and it's over. And now the United States have a few options, right? And I mean slim options. They could raise the debt ceiling. And let me tell you about the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is a cap on the amount of money that the United States government has in its war chest to pay all of it. It's a cap. They cannot go over this cap. And if they need to go over that cap, that's when the United States Treasury slide that letter and ask for more money, right? But they cannot go over that cap. They have to manage their budget. They cannot go over that cap. Why are you guys spending more money than you guys are taking in? But see, it that segues into what's being taken in because the other option is raising taxes. Now, that's the most unpopular thing for a politician. That's the one thing they're trying not to do is anger their constituents, anger their voters with higher taxes. When you're already super high taxes and you got inflation running up right now, who wants higher taxes, including the rich? That would be ugly. And they're up on election season, what, 2024? Biden gonna try to get another term in office? Yeah, they don't want that. So raising taxes, that's out of the question. Now, I'm gonna list a few programs that the federal government fund, and these programs are all on the chopping block. If the federal government cannot pay their bills, these programs will be on the chopping block for cuts, which is another unpopular method, but it's the only options they have. You have the US top 5 budget items, right? You have Social Security. That lends to the pension. All of the baby boomers, our parents, they're going to be knocking at the door. Can we have our checks? We have our credits, we have our points. Can we have our checks, please? Yes. That's going to affect the whole retirement generation. And baby boomers are not small. They're relying on that income. Then you have Medicare. Most baby boomers or most retirees, they rely on Medicare as a supplement to fund their medical benefits in their retirement. That's on the chopping block. The government pays for that. The defense. The defense pays for globalization, domestic security, foreign abroad security, protecting trade on the water, fighting wars, and everything else they do with the defense budget, right? Fund military equipment to wars that we're not physically on the boots on the ground involved actively in the war, but we'll supply military aid and military and we'll supply the money. We'll financially aid them. That comes out of the defense budget. Now, don't just fall out the sky. It comes out of the defense budget. When Biden tells Ukraine, I'm going to give you another $4.5 billion, that comes out of the defense fund. It doesn't come out the Social Security fund. It doesn't come out the Medicare fund. But that's all on the chopping block. The federal government pays for all of that, right? Highway construction. All of these all of America's infrastructure is so old. We talking 100-year-old pipes, 100-year-old bridges, roads and highways that need we're not even going to talk about the electrical power grid running from east to west across the country need to be rebuilt. We talking the whole re-infrastructure of America, all getting old, need to be redone. That's a part of the federal government budget. They have to manage that. They built the highways and they need to maintain the highways. That was their pledge and that's part of their budget. Now, states and local governments can have their own little projects going, but the federal government is responsible for the highways, the interstate systems, and how we moving around this country, how trade is moving around this country. Oh, because the trucks and stuff that are moving across this country with the trade, those are arteries of the system. Those go away, you're not getting your supplies and your goods. They have to protect all of that, and they need the highway infrastructure to support it, to make sure your goods can get from the port of Los Angeles to New York, or from X all across the country, right? And then they have to fund research and education. We're talking research into medicine, making sure the next generation have a K through 12 education. They funnel that money down to the states. The states then funnel that down to the local governments, and they provide education to the local communities around them, right? At least that's how it's supposed to go. That's how it's supposed to go. But research and education, they fund that. They have a whole department of education that lends to that. They have HUD. All of these programs, none of them would get funded. HUB, Housing and Urban Development. All the low income segments of the communities, their funds is at risk too. The government funds food all across the world. I mean, all across the country via food programs, right? They fund that through the Department of Agriculture. They fund that. All of those programs at risk on the chopping block. That's what that letter means. That's what Janet Yellen, the United States Treasury Secretary, when she says, I looked at all the books, y'all raised the debt ceiling in December 2022. That's fine and all well. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi. Thank you, President Biden. But I went back to my office and I redid some numbers and I redid the budget and I looked at all of these budget items that I just listed off: Social Security, Medicare, defense, military equipment, highway construction, building construction, research and education. We have to fund all of this, right? We're not going to be able to fund all of it. We can't. We tapping out. We tapping out in June. June 2023 is over. And like I said, there's three options. Raising the debt ceiling. Raising the debt ceiling in United States history. The United States has raised the debt ceiling, I believe, 78 times. In December 2022, that made like the 79th time that Congress approved a bill to raise the debt ceiling because the United States was not going to be able to pay their bills. Now, what that means to me is if that's done at least once a year, we're talking 78, 79 years of we can't pay our bills. We mismanaged the money. We don't know where it went. We can't account for all the items. We're just on the hook. We can't tax you, good folks, because you're going to get pissed at us. So the only thing is to raise the debt ceiling. $31 trillion it is right now. It went from 28 trillion to now 31 trillion. And now they went in December, asked for another 1.7. It's raised again. Now Janet just slid the letter and said we need some more. How long can it go? How long can they kick the can down the road before the bubble pops? It's only so many times y'all could do this. But nonetheless, like I said, every year, and they're trying to stay away from raising taxes and cutting programs because that means civil unrest, unhappy citizens, and they don't want that. But this means the United States could lose. It could go into default and lose its credit rating, a AAA credit rating. Just like we have credit ratings in our households, we have credit ratings as a country. No loans, too much leverage. So the United States would be out the game, can't pay its bills, and that would be a sad day across the globe. The day the United States cannot pay its bills. And it's close. We have till June 2023. Hopefully, we're going to see what's happening. We're going to see if it happens, what they going to do. But until then, I'll be here. Until next time, bye-bye.